So here we are, episode 4. A little bit late this week. I'm trying to post every week. The reason I'm a little bit late is I've just come back from Le Mans Classic, which I'm going to cover today. Been a lot of fun. If you're into your cars, go to Le Mans. It honestly, best thing I've done for a long while with a load of mates. We had a riot. So why did we pick Le Mans Classic as opposed to the Le Mans 24 Hour? A couple of reasons. It's the 100th anniversary this year, and there was going to be some fantastic classic cars there. I'm talking about the classic Bentley boys, the Bentley blowers. I've also got some mates who have got some classic Porsches, and now if you're into your Porsches, Le Mans Classic is the place to be. And also the Le Mans 24 Hour is a generally younger event. We decided we'd go gentle, we're old, poor old sods, we thought we weren't quite ready for the 24-hour youngsters, 24-hour partying it up. So we chose the Classic, and it was a good introduction to Le Mans, and I'm going to go over it here. I think we're going to have a lot of fun going over it even. One of the joys of Le Mans, not too far to go. We picked the wrong time because this weekend France is rioting again, setting fire to something again. It's pretty regular, really, but this weekend was particularly bad. We didn't have any problems, so we did drive down to Calais, simple crossing. We grouped up in Calais, did a simple crossing, and then you've got about 3.5 to 4.5 hours drive the other side. Ours was quite quick because we arrived very early in the morning. We travelled during the night. I think we got the 1:30 ferry or thereabouts and drove straight to Le Mans. The plan was to be at Le Mans for when the campsites open at 9 o'clock, get the pick of the spots, really. That was the idea. Come onto the campsites and where you can pick. The journey was reasonably easy. The problem with travelling during the night, nothing was open. I mean, France doesn't wake up till 10 o'clock. Even McDonald's doesn't open till 10 or so. So when you come off the ferry, you've got a sort of long drive with no stops, really. Petrol stations and toilets, that's about it that's open. But it was worth it to get there early. The drive back, similarly, we left a little bit early because we wanted to get ahead of the rush leaving Le Mans. And I think we left about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we arrived at the ferry port in the evening, had a meal in Calais, and then got the ferry home. And it was a good journey, nice, easy journey, plenty of space on the ferries. We had a couple of us, I didn't, but a couple of my friends had some absolute classic Porsches, beautiful, beautiful cars, fine on the ferry, and it gave them a chance to have a nice drive down to Le Mans as well. With accommodation, you've got a few choices. You could hotel, which is going to be difficult with availability with Le Mans, and I suspect prices will go through the roof as well. There's Airbnb. Similarly, you've got to be really well ahead on the planning to get into one of those, and again, you'll pay the price. The key thing with the accommodation is being close to the site, but not too close to the site. If you're right on the site, you're not going to get any sleep. Well, if you're happy with that and you want to be right in the middle of it, that's fine. We're too old for that crap, so we decided we wanted to get some sleep as well. We stayed in a campsite called Beau Séjour. It was just the right distance from the site. You could walk it, or there was a bus service most of the time to get you to the entrance. And the noise, we're near the track, but the noise of the track wasn't so great that it kept us awake when we did want to sleep. The proximity to the town is also a key. The town, you'll want to go into Le Mans, certainly for the 24 hour when they have the sort of parades and things on. Le Mans town was really quite beautiful. And there's a tram service from the track into the town. It was €1.50. It was not even worth thinking about. Quick, efficient. Unfortunately, when we were there, because of the riots, it was closing at 8:30 in the evening, and we had to use Uber to get back out of the town, which was a bit tricky because everyone was trying to get out of the town when the tram had shut. But generally speaking, the tram service into the town is fantastic. And Le Mans runs a free bus service from all the campsites to the track, and what they call a train. Think small tractor with carriages going around the track that you can pick up at any point. So the accommodation for us, the campsite was the answer. A few of us were camping, a few of us were camper vanning. We got there nice and early. We picked a good site. I'll come on to picking a good site later on in the tips. And it worked well for us. It was a good, comfortable accommodation. Some of the highlights, and they were great. Some of the highlights, the general ambience of the site, the feeling and atmosphere of the site. You've got 300,000, got to say mostly blokes, out for a party time. It can get a bit tricky in those sort of circumstances. If you have too much to drink, you get a bit of alpha male, all that crap. We didn't have any of that. Everybody was there enjoying themselves. Everybody was helping everybody. If a car broke down, there were other cars, because of course they're classics, they break down. There were other cars stopping and helping them. We were on the bus heading towards the circuit, and there's some guy with his top off with a bra on flashing the bus, and the bus is bipping the horn and everybody's cheering. Just a good laugh. The ambience was just brilliant. Perfect atmosphere. And if you're a petrol head, if you like your cars, I mean, it's the mecca for you. I mean, it's just incredible cars. We're just standing at the roadside, and a £50 million Ferrari, the bread van, it's unique. £50 million car goes driving past, and you don't get to see cars like that otherwise. It's the main highlight was the atmosphere. They've nailed the atmosphere. It's absolutely perfect. The other thing is up close and personal with cars, drivers and the pit crew. You really do. You touch the cars, you talk to the drivers, you talk to the pit crew, you are right in it. And that, again, there's so many motorsports now where you're looking through so many wire fences, you can hardly see the vehicles. You never get to see the vehicles up close. You never get to talk to people about them. So having that up close and personal contact with the drivers, the cars, the mechanics and everything was just superb. And then there's the unexpected. We had a number of things. You're just walking along, and things just appear. Cars appear, parades, just beautiful Aston Martins. We had a guy in a GT40, old boy in the GT40, stalled it in the tunnel underneath the track, and of course the whole crowd's cheering, and then he virtually burnt his clutch out trying to start it on the hill, and it got up the hill with all smoke pouring out the back, and everybody's cheering. It's sort of one-offs that are never planned, never happen. You just don't know where they're going to happen. We went around trying to find something to eat for breakfast, and before we know it, there's this giant convertible American car with a band all sat in the back, an Oompa band with the washboard going along. Just that sort of unexpected, really things you remember that were unexpected. Just great. And finally, on the highlights, it's a lads' weekend. It was the usual messing about, taking the mickey out of each other, pranks, jokes, ongoing, so many ongoing jokes. I think I was the butt of many of them actually, but we'll come on to that another time maybe. Great, what a great weekend, lads' weekend, just brilliant. Of course, with the highlights come a few lowlights as well. Low light of the weekend was really the food. We were getting robbed for food on the site. €15 for a really crappy burger and a drink, and it was crap. And I kind of get the feeling that the food was probably put out to a single company that then set up a load of themed places that all looked like they were different, but actually it was the same crap at the same overpriced. Lunchtime you queued for 30-40 minutes for an overpriced crappy burger and then had nowhere to sit and eat it. I know that's standard for a lot of events, but really the food was rubbish, absolute rubbish, and massively overpriced. Likewise with the drinks, overpriced. I know you expect it on these events, and that's where they make some of their money, but there's a difference between, you know, a bit pricey and feeling like you've got to lube up before you buy that thing. The other thing was lots of expensive toot, and there's no other word for it but toot. You know, you look at a hat that would cost a few quid anywhere else, and it's 150 euros, and you just think, no, I'm sorry, but I'm not going with that toot. A lot of toot, again, pretty normal for these things, but honestly, some of them are just taking the mickey. The other thing we had was the amount of walking. If you're not comfortable walking, Le Mans or Le Mans Classic is not for you. Typically, we were doing 20,000 steps a day. That's fine on one day, but when you're doing it for 4 days running, I know when I got home, you know, the bits of me hurt that I didn't even know I had. But we were definitely doing way over 20,000 steps a day. And that can get a bit much. So there was a lot of walking involved, but then it's during that walking that you come across these sort of unplanned things that I was talking about in the highlights as well. And the final thing that I think I struggled with was the dust on the campsite. The campsite was very dusty. You've got these beautiful classic cars also parked on the campsite because a lot of people arrive with their classic cars, and within minutes they're absolutely coated in this thick dust. The advantage of that dust is that when it did rain, we did have some rain, it was like sand. It just ran straight through. We didn't get any flooding. We didn't get anything. There were no vehicles stuck on mud. It was no Glastonbury there. And so I'm sure that that ground has its advantages, but when it was dry, oh my God. I mean, it was like fog. It's a few cars and you get some bloody idiot tearing through the site going way too fast with plumes of dust coming off, and it was like smog. I mean, you could hardly see sometimes for this dust. So the dust was a problem. There was a jet wash just outside the site, and that was bloody useless. It had no pressure at all. It was just robbery, really. So yeah, the dust was a problem for us, and certainly breathing it all the time, the dust got a bit too much. Some of our crowd had been to Le Mans quite a few times, and they knew quite a bit, and they were telling us, you know, what to take, what to pack. But generally, this was my first time, so generally it was a reconnaissance trip for me as to whether I wanted to do it again. From that, here's some tips that I learned that may come in useful if you go again. Earplugs. You cannot imagine how much noise some of these classic cars make when there's 40 of them revving up, ready on the pit lane. The noise is astounding. I mean, noise that hurts your ears. And also, if you want to get some sleep, a lot of the time, even in the classic, the track is live at night. They're doing practice sessions till 3 in the morning. And if you're on a campsite near to the track, you're going to want those earplugs. And if you've got some fat bugger like I had sharing your van who snores, you want those earplugs. Sorry, mate, but you've been named and shamed. Clothing, pretty straightforward, what you'd expect. Obviously for the weather, you've got to take waterproofs. Le Mans famous for rain and thunderstorms, and so waterproofs, comfortable clothing, really good walking shoes. We also packed waterproof boots, welly type boots, in case it poured with rain, in case it got Glastonbury like. And you probably want a hat. I mean, there's a lot of, when the weather's good, you're out in the sun for the whole day. We were certainly getting pretty toasty, especially if you're thinning on top. You've got to think about that now. That's an old fart. Sun cream. So sun cream was a no-brainer. And take something for cool evenings. We had beautiful hot days, really lovely hot days. I think about 26 degrees, 24, 26 degrees, somewhere around about there. But in the evening, it got cold. So a nice fleece or something to keep you warm, along with your waterproofs for when it rains. We also bought portable seats, these really lightweight, I think about £35 from Decathlon, in a pack about that big, all lightweight. They were a godsend. They weren't the most comfortable things in the world, but there were many a times when you've been doing those 20,000 steps a day, when you just want to sit down and just stop for a while, and those seats were a godsend. I took a rucksack, but I used it one day and it gave me such a sore back. But a rucksack, and actually, if you don't want to get robbed for the food, a rucksack with some food in it might be worthwhile, but don't underestimate how far you're going to walk with that stuff. Other tip is to arrive early. We got to the campsite. Well, we didn't get there as early as we wanted because we'd been, for lack of a better term, fannying around in France looking for stuff to eat. And the tip with the campsite is you don't want to be on the main drag. You certainly don't want the first few sections as everybody comes in. There was an English couple there who had got there really early and got #1 spot, and they were absolutely ruining the day they'd stopped there because they said every single vehicle coming onto the campsite went past them in their tent or their camper van and tent, and they were covered in dust, the noise, people coming and going 24 hours. So the best trick is to find yourself somewhere, inside the main campsite. If you want to be right near the track, you're going to get noise. You also want to be near enough to the toilets and showers that you're not going to be walking miles to them, but not so near that all the traffic from the showers and loos goes right past your door. As it happens, I think more by luck than anything, we picked a perfect spot. It was bang on right. But those are things to consider when you're looking for where you're gonna pitch tent or stop. For the next trip, and we are planning the next trip, um, here's some of the things I'd change. I probably would buy grandstand tickets. We went up on the grandstand. The view was spectacular. They're expensive, but honestly, I think having a seat under shelter, looking down onto that iconic Le Mans starter line, and also if you get the correct side, you're actually looking right onto the pits. You're kind of up close and personal with the pit crew. You can see what's going on during the race and everything. Those grandstand seats, as I say, I think they're worth every penny. So next time I'm going to be shelling out for those grandstand seats. The other one we had e-tickets. So we had a PDF sent to us with a barcode. So we had it on our phones. It was a pain in the arse. You had to make sure your phone was charged. You have to scan in and out. And if you don't scan out, they block your ticket because they think you've shared the ticket with somebody else. And that constant scanning of your ticket got really wearing. I mean, once you're on the site, you've still got to get your ticket scanned to see if you've got access to the paddocks or that or that or that. And this constant scanning of the tickets was really tiring. Fire up your phone, go from your camera to your whatever, find the ticket, zoom in on the QR code. Then when you hand it to him, if he doesn't blip it straight away, your screen goes blank. Oh, pain in the arse. So #1 tip, print your ticket out. If you've got a laminator, laminate the damn thing and put it in your pocket. Or better still, if you get the option where you buy your ticket on a lanyard with a credit card, plastic card, or you can print those cards, put your tickets on a card. Honestly, the scanning of our e-tickets was an absolute pain in the arse the whole time. Other one, as I've covered in the food, the Lowlights, food was shockingly expensive. You really don't want to eat there on a regular basis. The town was also reasonably expensive. Obviously, they know when there's a lot of victims in town, and so I would say take some good food with you. Take some snacks. Take something you can cook or you can eat there. And likewise, if you don't want to get robbed for food on site, or you even want half decent food, take it in with you. It's a bit of a no-brainer. So the food and drink is one I would change again. And the last one is when you pull up on the campsite, if you're camping and not hoteling, I would find a way of marking out your pitch. I know it sounds very territorial. You've bought a pitch of a certain size, and if you just blink, some other bugger's put a van, right outside yours where you were sitting. So once you get there, either mark it out. Lots of people put in stakes with tape. To me, that felt a bit too much. We decided what we're going to do next time. We're going to buy some of those really cheap shit tents from Decathlon, the kids' tents that pop up, and we're just going to put them where we don't want people to park. There were several people who had beautiful pitches, the perfect location, and they came back to find another van had gone between them and whatever they were looking at because they'd left just a few inches. It really got silly, and a lot of the people were turning up at the campsite campsite quite a bit later than we were. And when we turned up, we thought, "Oh, this is all right. This is very comfy." A couple of days later, it was rammed. So we've said in future we'll take something out just to mark our patch, just to reserve our patch. Literally, you leave a gap between the car and another car, and somebody will put a van or a tent in there. So we want to do that next time. I hope this has given you a feel for Le Mans. I mean, probably sounds very negative because I am a grumpy old man, but we had an absolute riot. I mean, we had so much fun. Just childish gags. You're walking along, there's suddenly a pop-up bar. There's a bar that's just appeared from nowhere with music. You have a few drinks and then on you go. Great time. Honestly, if you've not been to Le Mans at all, then I would say the classic's a good one, especially if you're a bit older and you want and you enjoy the classic cars. And I'll pop in some videos amongst this one, so you don't have to look at my ugly mug for the whole thing. But honestly, it was really good. I would recommend it. It was such a great weekend. And 3-4 days, absolutely right. Probably 4 days I was starting to think, I need to get home, have a proper wash now, not one of these sort of shower block, sort of with a queue outside. But three days of perfect car fun and good fun with your mates. So hope that's given you a good feeling, and perhaps you'll be there next year. We're doing the 24-hour next year because we're youngsters at heart. When I did the introduction to this channel, I had a few other things I wanted to do, odd reviews, bits and pieces. So this is the start of that, really. I'm going to go off piste a bit and try some things. If you like it, comment on it or click the like button. It does me a lot of favours when you click the like button. Thank you very much. So today I'm going to have a look at something I bought. It's called the Anti-Planner by Dani Donovan. It's actually for people with ADHD. I don't have ADHD. Well, maybe I do. We're all on the spectrum somewhere. I don't believe I've got ADHD. I do have a problem with procrastination, and I found as I got older, I put stuff off, or I sit there and I think, I know I've got to do this, but I just can't get started. And a lot of the things that were in this book for ADHD really sort of hit a nerve with me. And I'm going to give you a quick run through this book. When I work out how to angle the camera and mess about, give you a quick run through it. I reckon this is just superb, and I've had a lot of fun reading it. So let's get on with that. So here's the Anti-Planner. I'm just going to flick through it one-handed because I haven't worked out how to hold my camera properly. The main thing is, within the introduction, you start thinking, well, it's all a bit of a kid's book, really, but it's not. It's about what it is it's not a planner. This is really a get things done type manual. Now, I've tried the bullet journals and I've tried all these different time management systems for writing out what you're going to do, and they're great for making a list of to-dos, but they're not good at motivating you and getting you moving, and that's what this is about. I love some of the language. I mean, there's no messing about here. What it says on the front of the tin, it does. I mean, it's absolutely great. So what it does is that really self-defeating bullshit. I mean, I just love it. And then down the side, there's a number of tabs. Whether you're stuck, overwhelmed, unmotivated, disorganized, discouraged, and any extras at the back here. Let's have a look at overwhelmed, just as an example. And it starts with, how are you feeling? Whether you're intimidated, overcommitted, panicked, burnt out, and a little summary of what these things feel like. and how to deal with them. And then it goes through some lists of things to try. Well, the Pomodoro technique is a reasonably well known one. Set a timer, get started, get doing it. Breaking things down. I don't want to go through the whole book because obviously Dani Donovan's put a lot of time and effort into making this, and you need to go and buy your own, you tight bastards. Anyway, it's fantastic. It's not cheap. I mean, it's full colour, ring bound. It is beautifully produced, and I think off the top of my head it was something in the region of £35–40, worth every penny. Honestly, it will get you going like nothing else, get you started, put off procrastination. I'll put a link on the description to where you can get it. The only disadvantage, and it's quite a big one, is you order it, you do have to wait a long time. Dani has obviously been very successful with this, and the print runs are constantly backlogged. I think I waited a couple of months for mine. I honestly promise you that it's worth the wait. Anyway, there's my first review recommendation. By the way, I don't make any money out of a commission on this, so it's not biased in any way. But if you're having problems with getting going on stuff, this book is going to blow your mind. If you're enjoying watching this series, please hit the like button and subscribe. It makes a huge difference to me. Much appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next episode.